Hello, I'm Cleopatra Wallace, and this video is going to be a variety video. I'm going to do 3 different reads. The first read is going to be on the murder of the Cash App founder Bob Lee, who was murdered in San Francisco on April the 4th of 2023. The next read, we will go over the drying up of the Euphrates River. There have been reports that they found historical sites underneath there where the river was, including Gilgamesh's grave. If you know anything about Greek mythology, you know there was like this, the Epic of Gilgamesh. So they claim they have found his final resting spot under the Euphrates River. So we're going to go over there and have a look at that. And then lastly, we are going to go to Atlanta to investigate the LaShawn Thompson story, who was eaten alive by bed bugs in Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, Georgia. So stay tuned. We're going to do Bob Lee, the Cash App murder first. All right, so we are back, and I'm going to do the copyright, and then I'm going to read a little bit of this article here on Reuters. Okay, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act in 1976, allowance is made for the fair use for the purpose such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and or research. Fair use is a use that is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right. So, this article is coming from Reuters, and it states, Cash App founder Bob Lee was killed in dispute over suspect's sister, prosecutors suggest. Now, the suspect worked for him. Nima Monin, the 38-year-old founder of software company Expanded, appears before Judge Christine Van Aken, accused of stabbing murderer of the Cash App founder Bob Lee. All right, so these are just some court depictions. A very good artist who drew these. All right. Here's the second one. All right, what is this heart-shaped stuff they doing? Heart symbols are exchanged between Nima Monim, the 38-year-old founder of software company Expanded, and family members as he appears before the judge. Oh, they're all giving the heart symbol to each other. How sweet. All right, so the tech executive charged with stabbing Cash App founder Bob Lee to death in San Francisco, confronted him earlier in the evening about his ties to the suspect's younger sister. Prosecutors said on Friday in court documents that outlined a possible motive. Nima Monini was 38, was arrested on Thursday and charged with the April 4th murder of Lee, who was found stumbling through the city early that morning, bleeding from 3 stab wounds. He later died at a nearby hospital. Wow, he stabbed him outside. Monimi, founder of the Bay Area software company Expanded, briefly appeared in a San Francisco courtroom on Friday, where a judge postponed his arraignment until April the 25th. Monin was ordered and held without bail until then. San Francisco prosecutors, who called the murder planned and deliberate in court papers filed for the hearing, wrote that a close friend of Lee, identified only as Witness 1, described spending time with the Cash App founder, Monimi, and Monimi's younger sister on the day before the murders. Witnesses, I told investigators that on that afternoon, Monini questioned Lee, 43, over whether his sister was doing drugs or anything inappropriate. According to the documents, the friend said Lee assured him that nothing of the sort had taken place. Investigators who gained access to Lee's phone following his death discovered a FaceTime call between him and Monimi's sister, who is not identified by name in the court papers. So Bob Lee was messing with this man's younger sister. They doesn't say. I took it too far. They don't say how young she was. Okay. They also found a text message from the sister reading, "Just wanted to make sure you're doing okay because I know Nima came way down hard on you, and thank you for being such a classy man handling it with class. Love you, selfish pricks." Witness one said it was not clear to him whether Lee had engaged in an intimate relationship with Monimi's sister, who is married, but whose relationship to her husband was described as in jeopardy. The sister and her husband both attended Monimi's court hearing on Friday. Ain't that something? He done got killed over her, and she had nerve to come to the court hearing. People be brave. Surveillance camera footage shows Monimi arriving at his sister's apartment at 8:31 p.m. on April the 3rd. The court document said, followed by Lee roughly 4 hours later. Okay, right. Okay, so he was followed the man 4 hours later. The camera captured both men leaving the apartment some 30 minutes before the murder. The two men are seen in camera footage driving into a remote area where prosecutors believe the stabbing took place. Black Ink owned Cash App also allows users to transfer money through a mobile application. We all know how Cash App works. Okay. Let's see if we can find a video. Go back. All right. Let's see if we can get this to play. Arrest made in the stabbing death of Cash App founder Bob Lee. Men reportedly knew each other. Okay. Is this it? Will he let you play it? Oh, there we go. I am so impatient. Oh my goodness. Frontier would make us watch a commercial. All right, so that is the article. So we will come back and we will do the cards. All right, holy angels, ancestors, and spirit guides, gather around because this morning we're going to go over to San Francisco in the 94105 zip code. I want to be there between 1 and 3 a.m. All right. All right, so we are in the zip code of 94105. We're between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. We are with Bob Lee and Nima Monini. They are in a dispute over Nima's sister, who had a date or interaction with Bob the day before. They are by the Bay Bridge in the Recon neighborhood. All right. So we have two. I only need one more. Since I'm doing 3 reads in this video, I'm only going to do 3 cards per read, and then I'll clarify them. All right. So I wanted to know about the interaction that led Nima to stab Bob Lee on April the 3rd of 2023 between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. We're in the zip code of 94105. We're riding around with Bob and Nima. Nima has a silver kitchen knife and uses it on Bob because he doesn't like the interaction between Bob and his sister. Can you tell me more about this interaction between the sister? Oh, all right. Here we are. We have all 3 cards. Okay. The first card up is the Judgment card, which is not too out of place because, Nima did judge the interaction between Bob and his sister as being unacceptable to the point of he unalived the man. Okay, Nima felt as though Bob was not being straight up. That's the phrase that I'm getting, straight up. Like, just tell me straight up what happened. What happened? Straight up. That's such a strange phrase. Straight up. Do you see the way this head is like completely to the side right here? Like, it's supposed to be up like this, but it's that way. Like, it's not straight up. He's not being straight up with it, with what happened. Let's clarify that. Spirit, can you tell me more about this interaction between Bob and the sister that Nima felt he wasn't being straight up about? Tell me more about the situation that Bob wasn't being straight up about. What happened? What wasn't? Oh, ooh, that card had a lot of power. It flew all the way out. But it fell face down, which means I'm going to read it. I can pick it up. I got fingernails on. All right, so this is what Bob wasn't being straight up about. Let's see what it was. Oh, I'm not surprised about the younger sister. He wasn't being straight up about what happened with the girl. Well, not the girl, the younger sister. It reminds me of that song. Wasn't that a Paula Abdul song? Straight up, now tell me, did you really want to be with me forever? Oh, oh, oh. Or am I caught in the hit and run? Oh, is that it, Spirit? You think Bob was doing the old razzle dazzle hit and run on the man's younger sister? Nima sure thought so. All right, let's go to the next card. Ooh, the Tower is the moment when it all falls apart. So this would be the stabbing. Spirit says a fall from grace. Well, I know in different cultures, they they handle infidelity a lot different than Americans do. But this was the sister falling from grace, and there's Bob. For some reason, Bob doesn't have a shirt on. I wonder, why was Nima so invested in what his sister was doing? And to do that, we are going to use the Edgar Allan Poe deck. Spirit, can you tell me more about this fall from grace that Nima's sister was involved in? Tell me more about the interaction between Bob and Nima's sister that caused them to fall from grace. Tell me more about the interaction between Bob and Nima's sister. What happened between them? Oop. All right. This is going to tell us what Bob and his sister were up to. Oh, the King of Cups. So they are having themselves a little get together. As you can see, somebody has a really big bone. Okay, so Bob and his sister definitely had an interaction. Okay, but even though she was married, she was grown. She made a choice. Yeah, it wasn't, Bob didn't do it all by himself. All right, so let's see the last card. The last card is the Emperor. And this has the energy of Nima, the one who asked the assailant, the one who stabbed Bob. This is him. Let's get his energy now that all the cards have been played and he's going to jail. How does he feel about himself now? To do that, we're going to use the Omega Land deck. All right, Spirit. Thank you. You shown me the events that led up to Bob's murder, and now I see Nima here. Everything has been said and done, and he's all set for trial and eventually go to prison. Can you tell me how he feels about himself now that he has essentially destroyed his life and Bob's life? All right, so this is how he feels about it. We have the Seven of Cups and the Six of Wands. The Seven of Cups is all about choices and a little bit of illusion too, daydreaming. He's feeling as though he was walked into it. Like back here, this is him. This is a man who did the stabbing. He felt like he was kind of led into this, like to go down the road, like it was an eventuality. I don't know if that's the word, but that like it was gonna he was led to do this. I think if you're led or compelled to do something, that's your own. Those are your feelings. No one's making you do it. I guess he feels like it was his natural response to try to defend his younger sister's honor. But he felt like he was led to do it. He was compelled to do it. And here we have the Six of Wands as the last card. Okay, and this is him here. Look at his face. He's not very too upset or disturbed about what he did. He felt like he was led to do it to defend his sister's honor. And honestly, it looks like he feels like he would do it again if he had to. Do it all over again, he would. All right. So that solved the Cash App situation. You know, you can't screw around with people's younger siblings and then let them know about it and then lie about it. You know, some people are good at detecting lies. Like they can tell when you lie to them. Like it's easy for them to be like, "Oh, you're lying." It's a shame that Bob had to lose his life about this illicit date. I mean, we still don't know exactly what it is they did. Were they getting high, having sex? Probably. But all right, so we're going to leave that read there, and I will be back to talk about the Euphrates River. Ooh. All right, so we are back, and we're going to talk about the Euphrates River. As some of you may know, the Euphrates is in Southwest Asia. It starts out in Turkey, it passed through Syria, and it ends in Iraq. It has been a prominent water feature in the Bible. It has been around since time immemorial. The Assyrians, Mesopotamian, Babylonian, and Persian societies all sustained themselves off the Euphrates River. Over the years, some of the, I guess you can say, people who live off the river have diverted it to where they go more onto their land than theirs. And some say all the different diversions for the river has caused it to dry up. Others are saying it's just drying up because it's an omen of how our world is going. And not only is the Euphrates River drying up and causing like a religious stir, there are people saying that they have been finding things under there. A few weeks ago, there was a so-called mountain of gold found near where the Euphrates would run, where I guess previous cultures was throwing sacrifices or offerings into the river of valuable artifacts of gold and things like that. There are also said to be significant people buried under the Euphrates River. Recently, there was an article coming out saying that they had found the grave of Gilgamesh under the Euphrates River now that it has dried up. So we're going to pop over, we're going to read a few articles, look at some of the stories, and then we're just going to go into the cards and ask the cards, what's up with the Euphrates River? Why is it drying up? And who all is underneath there? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do the copyright, and then we're going to read a few things. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act in 1976, allowance is made for the fair use for the purpose such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and or research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right, so when you type Euphrates River is drying up into Google, you get this. The top reason the Euphrates River is drying up is low rainfall along with droughts. Iraq and the surrounding area also suffer from climate change and rising temperatures. More than 7 million people are affected by the river drying up. Okay. All right, so we're going to read one of these articles and then I have a short video we're going to watch. All right, so let's go into this one. The Euphrates River is drying up and crisis looms, just as the Bible warned. Because, yes, we all know the Euphrates River is a prominent water feature in almost all of religious scripture. concerning like the Bible and the Quran, and even in the Torah, I think the Euphrates might be mentioned. All right. Oh, look, there it is. Looks really dry, doesn't it? Now, the Euphrates River starts in Turkey, it ran through Syria, and it ended in Iraq. In the Bible, it is said when the Euphrates rivers run dry. That's a mouthful. The Euphrates rivers run dry, then immense things are on the horizon. Perhaps even the foretelling of the second coming of Jesus Christ and the rapture. Revelation 16:12 reads, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." Now, no, we're not going to watch this video because I have another video we're going to watch. Okay. Well, not to sound dramatic or anything, but it looks like the time is nigh. Together with the Tigris, the Euphrates carves through present-day Syria and Iraq before emptying into the Persian Gulf. For thousands of years, the twin rivers have allowed farming communities and grand cities to flourish in Mesopotamia, which is considered the cradle of some of the world's earliest civilizations. However, for several decades, it's become increasingly apparent that the Tigris and the Euphrates River system is drying out. A government report in 2021 warned that the river could run dry by 2040 due to declining water levels and droughts driven by climate change. NASA's Twin Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment GRACE satellites collects images of the river in 2013 and found that the Tigris and Euphrates River basins had lost 144 cubic kilometers, 34 cubic miles of fresh water since 2003. All right, and we can see the river there as it runs. All right. Now, it just goes on and on and on. Now, what's this? Oh, that's interesting. It says diarrhea, chickenpox, measles, and typhoid fever and cholera are currently spreading across Iraq because of the water crisis, and the government no longer provides vaccines to its citizens. A Nasir Bekar, climate activist and field coordinator at the Tigris River Protectors Association in Iraq, told BMI. I can't have my glasses on. Although the Bible's predictions of the Euphrates' fate should be taken with a bucket of salt, perhaps its forecasting of monumental change wasn't far wrong. All right, let's see how much time we got left. All right, we at 5 minutes. Okay. All right, so we're going to look at this short video. All right, now I've already did the copyright disclaimer. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video about the river and whether or not they found Gilgamesh.
Plunging millions of people into a period of unprecedented drought. Spanning from Turkey to Syria and then Iraq, this long stretch of river has been the major source of water in the region for over 10,000 years, sustaining human civilizations and allowing them to flourish. However, the drying up of the Euphrates is not entirely unexpected, as it has been predicted in a terrifying prophecy that seems to be coming true. The significance of the Euphrates River in human history cannot be overstated. It has been responsible for creating the Fertile Crescent, a part of ancient Mesopotamia where the first and oldest recorded agricultural practices originally began. In times of old, the Euphrates provided a constant source of clean water for men to practice farming and other agricultural practices, which later spread to other parts of the world. The Euphrates River was also one of the first rivers to be recorded in the Bible, as it was among the 4 rivers that were said to originate from the Garden of Eden. In biblical records, the Euphrates served as a key dividing barrier between the East and West, shaping key events such as wars and invasions that have in turn shaped the distribution of people and power in much of Asia and North Africa. The river's significance spreads as far back as over 450,000 years ago, with Schulian stone artifacts and the remains of early Homo erectus having been found buried in its banks. Stretching a distance of over 1,730 miles, originating from the Armenian mountains in eastern Turkey, the Euphrates is the longest river in Asia, and together with the river Tigris, makes up the Fertile Crescent. The river flows through steep gorges and canyons in Turkey, then through lowlands in Syria, before cutting clear across Iraq and entering into the Persian Gulf. However, this ancient river is now drying up, with a significant drop in water levels across the length of its path. In most places in the lower part of the river, mostly in Iraq, the river has completely dried up, with the riverbed now completely visible, and what used to be submerged underwater now barren lands of cracked soil. In most places where the water has dried up, farmlands have become barren, as there is no source of irrigation for the crops, pushing villages into unusually long droughts. The fishing economies of these locations are now practically non-existent, as whatever small pools of water are left are contaminated or undrinkable. The once fertile crescent that gave birth to the world's agriculture is now a desolate land, and is now practically unrecognizable from the last decade. The Euphrates River has been an important feature of many fascinating stories and historical events. Among these is the supposed discovery of the tomb of King Gilgamesh, an ancient ruler of the city of Europe. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which recounts the life of this king, is considered a Middle Eastern literary masterpiece and was written 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. According to the book, Gilgamesh was buried under the Euphrates River in a tomb constructed after the river's waters parted following his death. Gilgamesh is king of Uruk, an ancient kingdom on the banks of the Euphrates in what is the present-day Iraq. There is even some footage claiming to show the discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb, which many find intriguing. However, let me warn you that the authenticity of this footage is debatable.
All right, we're definitely never watching the commercial all the way through.
To know more about this discovery, let us go back in time to 2003. German explorers and archaeologists led by Jörg Fassbender found an ancient tomb that they believe belonged to giants that roamed the earth centuries or even millennia ago. The researchers reported that they discovered the bodies of massive giants and sent them to laboratories for testing, including carbon dating. Since the discovery, not much has been said about it, and it has been kept under wraps. As expected, the discovery has been the subject of some controversy. In the story, Gilgamesh was described as a giant who was 17 feet tall. He was reportedly the son of a Sumerian king and a Mesopotamian goddess, and ended up ruling over the land of Uruk, which later became Erech. It is possible that he was buried in his hometown, and his body was eventually discovered in 2003. Gilgamesh was essentially a demigod, and in his reign, he waged wars against his enemies, and sometimes acted as a bit of a tyrant to his people. Not surprising considering he had godlike strength and could pretty much do whatever he wanted. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, it is said that the gods finally listened to the cries of Gilgamesh's people, who had to live in fear of their all-powerful king, and they wanted a savior. So Anu, the king of the gods, used clay and his own spit to make Enkidu, a wild man who would challenge Gilgamesh to a contest of strength. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu eventually came to blows, it was pretty epic, and their duel reportedly lasted days. Eventually, Gilgamesh still managed to eke out the win, and despite the win, he was reportedly so impressed by Enkidu that they eventually became friends. Later on, when Enkidu was eventually struck by death, Gilgamesh was so grief-stricken that he basically claimed that the lower water level at the Haditha Dam resulted in the appearance of at least 80 historical monuments. Additionally, the Antiquities Department in Duhok, Iraq's Kurdistan province, recently announced the discovery of a Mitanni Empire city that dates back 3,400 years, which was discovered when floodwaters in the Tigris River basin receded. Another incredible archaeological discovery made due to the drying up of the Euphrates River is the ancient city of Zakiko, which was mentioned in Babylonian writings. This city boasts several buildings, including a palace, a huge fence, and cuneiform texts that have been found. What's more, researchers were astonished by how well some of the underwater mud walls that had been sun-dried for over 40 years had held up. They believe this is because of a city-destroying earthquake that buried and protected the city for millennia with the debris of the higher portions of the walls. As we consider the fascinating discoveries around the Euphrates River, we cannot help but wonder what other artifacts and evidence may be hidden beneath its depths. Undoubtedly, there is much more history and knowledge waiting to be discovered, evidence that will only add to our understanding of ancient history. These discoveries truly shape our understanding of the past, and we cannot wait to see what else lies beneath the surface of the Euphrates River. So stay tuned for more exciting discoveries that will shed light on our ancient history. If you like our story, don't forget.
So, we are now going to go and do the cards part of the Euphrates read. All right, and we are back. So, spirit guides, holy angels, and ancestors, gather back around because now we are wanting to go to Southwest Asia. And as you know, the Euphrates River doesn't have a zip code because the Euphrates River doesn't need a zip code. Everyone knows where it's at, living and dead. The Assyrians, the Mesopotamians, the Babylonians, and the Persians all sustained their societies off of the Euphrates River. Recently, since the Euphrates River has started to dry up, people have found large amounts of gold, tombs, even doorways, and some say whole cities that was once thriving before the Euphrates River came to be or changed its course or however it may be. But the most interesting thing, we're going to switch decks over to the Beauty of Horror deck. And as you know, since I'm doing 3 reads, I'm only doing 3 cards per read. All right, so we're talking about the Euphrates River drying up. So recently, there are claims that the grave of Gilgamesh is underneath the Euphrates River, and it has been found. And that would be just the most amazing thing, I think. So, Spirit, what I'm wanting to know is, did they find Gilgamesh underneath the Euphrates River? And who else? Oh, we have 1 card that came out on that. We only need 1 more card. And what else is there to be found underneath the Euphrates River? Is this a biblical sign, or is this just man-made crisis? Is this some people diverting? All right, so I'm going to take the 1 that's face down. I'm going to put the 2 face-ups back. All right, so we have our 3 cards for the Euphrates River read. Let's go in order. All right, so the first card that came out is the 2 of Swords. It usually denotes some sort of a choice. Okay, so this is some of the diversions. So you see, like, we can have, like, the body of water, the big body of water coming here. And then it begins to get diverted through that way, and it looks like it's diverted this way as well. So this is, I think, what they would call the tributaries and canals that are located on the river that were built by different societies to try to garner more water to come onto their land. So let's see. Spirit, tell me more about the river diversions caused by people. Tell me more about the river diversions caused by people. Is this the reason for the Euphrates drying up, or is this just one of the things. All right. Okay, this is going to tell us about all the canals and tributaries that they made. The Ace of Swords, which is the beginning of a problem. And this is the Edgar Allan Poe deck. And this is the Raven. Which is essentially about to fly out of the window. Once it gets out there, it's going to be out of hand. A lot of things are going to get out of hand. There has actually been an outbreak of cholera and measles and typhoid fever and stuff like that in Iraq because of the low water levels. And the government is no longer supplying vaccines for these things. The diversions caused it to get out of hand. So I think the divergence is probably the beginning of it, but not the whole thing. All right, the next card is the Seven of Wands, which is some sort of challenge. Which is also an open grave in this picture. And this guy has 1 foot in the grave. Look at there. Just 1 foot in the grave. We are asking about a grave. Thank you, Spirit. I forgot that I was asking about a grave. And Spirit was like, aren't we asking looking for a grave? Thank you, Spirit. Y'all are correct. See, this is why I need y'all here to keep me focused, because I done forgot what we was looking for. So yes, there is actually a grave underneath the Euphrates River. Dang it, I gotta stay focused. All right. Spirit, thank you for showing me and reminding me that we were looking for Gilgamesh's grave, and we have found a grave. Okay. So we're in the right place. We're going to use the Omega Land deck to answer more questions about this grave. Spirit, thank you. Can you tell me more about this grave that is under the Euphrates River, and what might they find in it, or who almost started a fire? All right, bring them back. The candle right there. All right, Spirit, tell me more about this grave that was found under the Euphrates River that this man has 1 foot in. Oh, it flipped over. All right. Oh, he is big. Look how big he is. That man is huge. See, look how big he is compared to the other man. Even though the other man is like the living dead still, this man is big. Wow, Spirit, they actually found it. There's Gilgamesh, and there's his grave. Who would have thunk it? This is amazing. I bet they had pure gold, not no 24 karat or 12 karat. They had 100% pure gold in that grave for sure. All right. That's so crazy that they found that man's grave, the giant. How come more people aren't talking about this? Let's go on to the last card concerning the Euphrates River and Gilgamesh. All right. The last card is the Tower, which, as we all know, is the moment that it all falls apart. Now, this could be the society's falling apart because there's no water, or this could be revelations in the Bible that talk about what happens after the Euphrates River dries up. So let's clarify the tower, and then we'll be done with the Euphrates read. All right, to clarify the tower, we're going to use the spider deck. All right, Spirit, thank you. You've now showed me the moment that a society, come on, cards, cooperate. Get it together. You have now shown me the moment that the society begins to fall apart. Can you tell me why? Is this an effect of the Euphrates River and disease? Or is this the effects of a prophecy? What causes the tower? Man-made diseases or prophecy? Oop. All right. Dun, dun, dun. All right. The last card, uncontrolled transformations, which is another tower, but in oracle speak. Uncontrolled transformations is stuff happening that you are absolutely not in control of. So yes, the Euphrates River drying up is biblical. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Hold on to your seats, people.